Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here, and today we're on the water and trying to catch fish, win tournaments, and fishery conservation awards. Pisces, a high-stakes fishing competition, is for 2 to 6 players, takes between 30 and 60 minutes to play, is for ages 8 and up, and published by Extronaut. Now it's on Kickstarter right now, so I'm going to show you how the game works, and I'll see you on the other side. This is a Kickstarter preview, so all the art and components you see here are prototype, they're not final, so check the Kickstarter link in the description of this video to see all the final art and components. Now Pisces is for 2 to 6 players. I have a 6-player game set up here because we have 6 fishery boards set up with all different fish types like tuna, shark, sardines, crabs, mahi-mahi, and snapper. Each player will select one of these boards and that will basically be their player color as well. So if you're playing with less than 6 players, there'll be less of these boards out. And when playing with 2 or 3 player games, players may choose multiple fishery boards for a more dynamic game as opposed to 1 board each. The game is played over 6 rounds, whoever has the most points in the end is going to win, and you're going to get points in a few different ways. One is you're going to be trying to catch fish, and the fish are worth different amount of points, like the sharks are all worth 9, all the tunas are worth 8, the snappers are worth 7, and so on and so forth, because on the back of these, actually it shows you that point value there, 8, 8 here. So all of them are worth the same value for each fish, but they're all different. So you can be catching fish and getting points that way. Also, the number of fish available in the game decrease as their value increases. Now another way to get points is by winning a tournament, and multiple players can win it. Each round there's going to be 2 fish types here. They might even be the same type, but in this case you have to catch a tuna and a shark in this round. If you do both of those, you'll get one of these. In fact, all players that do this round will get this. This is a trophy chip. It's going to be worth 10 points at the end of the game. They're always worth 10, and each round these will change as to what you're going for the tournament. You'll also be protecting different parts of your fishery throughout the game, and each time you're able to block someone from fishing there, you'll be getting some of these stars, and whoever has the most of these at the end of the game will get some points. And the player with the second most gold star conservation tokens will receive a silver award worth 10 points at the end of the game. So each of the 6 rounds, players are going to be taking turns from the first player and going clockwise. Now each player will take their conservation block and they'll place it on one of the stacks of chips on their fishery board, and what they're doing is they're blocking players from being able to fish here. As we'll show you soon, players that go here and try to fish, if they roll a 4, normally they'd get this fish, but with this block on there, this player is going to protect it, and that's how you end up getting some of these stars. Remember, whoever gets the most of these will get that 20-point bonus at the end of the game. And second place will get the 10 points. Once everyone does that, again, starting with the start player and going clockwise, players are going to be placing their 2 boats. Now, you can place boats on any of the fishery boards that are out there, or you can put them in the open ocean. So let's see what happens after that. So maybe it looks something like this afterwards, where some players have placed out in the open ocean, and some of them have placed on specific boards, depending on their strategies. Now let's say it's us, it's our turn, we're first player, we're going to go clockwise, and we're going to roll the dice in any order for each of the boats. And you could roll multiple dice simultaneously when your boats are placed in different locations. So we have a boat here, we're trying to catch some tuna. Let's say we rolled this and it was a 6. Now you'll look at the here, we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and these 3 are 6s. If you roll the die like this 6, and it's this green icon here, that means you're able to catch that fish. So in this case, I would choose any of these, and I would take it, and I would put it face up, and alongside my board is sort of a score pile over here. Now, if I had gotten a 1 or 2, this says catch and release. You would take this, and you wouldn't keep it, you'd actually put it here, and this does not count as part of the tournament. Remember, one of the tournament fish was tuna. This doesn't count as catching that for the tournament. Now my other boat is in the open ocean. These are randomly placed at the beginning of the game, and let's say I rolled a 5, then I would be able to take from the shark board, which is the one closest to here, I'm able to take one of these 3 spawners, assuming there is one there. In this case, we're looking at the shark, and they never produce more than 3 young, and is the only species that will never have multiple chips on one stack that can be kept, but other fish species could possibly have more than 1 fish in a stack. And you'll be able to choose which stack you want because all 3 of these are 6, and it's a green icon, so let's say I just take this. Again, these are going to be worth 9 point there, and I get to keep this as well. But because I caught both a tuna and a shark, I'll also get one of these. I'm just showing you a very easy example at the beginning of the game, for example. Then you'd simply go clockwise to the next player. Now let's say it's this player's turn here. I've brought this starting board, away from the others just to make it easier to show you. This player is going to roll these 2 dice, and no 2 boards are the same. This one has 2 dice to roll. You roll them, and you look at the sum. This is 4 and 4, so it's 8. We look at 8 here, as of course we see 4 and 4. And we have the green, so we get to get this, that player would get this, which of course is 4 points. However, if they rolled a 6, this is where the gray player predicted, and they're trying to sort of conserve and block there. So this gray player would get one of these. Remember, whoever has the most of these at the end of the game is going to get a 20-point bonus, or all players that are tied with the most will get it. Now, if you look at the sardine board, you'll notice that there's no spots that actually have the red catch and release. So assuming there's actually a fish chip there, at least one, you'll get it if you roll it, assuming it's not the one with the block on there. But you look at the shark board, and if you rolled a 1, a 2, either of those, you would have to catch and release. You wouldn't get to keep it. So they're a little bit different, and the sharks are worth 9. We'll also go over sort of how this works a little bit later. Now, players will keep going in turn order, but let's say, earlier, let's say the green player took the fish from 5, but then on the red player's turn, a little bit later that round, they rolled a 5. They wouldn't get anything because it's already gone. So deciding where to go and where others are not is going to be part of the strategy. Then players are going to be able to purchase gear. And by the way, if you didn't catch any fish, you'd get one of these randomly to use, which I'll go over in a minute. Now, each player has a third boat that they can use, which allows them to go to more spots, and they could buy that at a cost of 20. Now, to spend those, essentially you're going to be spending points that you had gotten earlier at, for example, getting those. So if you were able to afford something like this, like let's say you wanted to buy this thing for 10, and you ended up having 17, well, you'd get some change back, and you'd end up getting them in these little baits. These are essentially 1 apiece, so you'll have some change that you can use, and then you can spend them later. Now, when you have one of these bid cards, you can use them once per round. Now, this one gives you a +3 bid value. A little bit later, we're going to be bidding for first turn. As you can see, turn order is pretty important in the game. You can add 3 to your bid value. An Outrigger allows you to basically re-roll any one of your fishing rolls. So if you rolled and you didn't like it, you could use it once per round and re-roll one of those dice. The fishing finders, you can move any boat before fishing. You can use this in different ways. Like you could send both to the open ocean. Maybe you could roll for one of the ones that's in the tournament that round, and if you get it, then you can move one of your boats to the actual fishery board if the other one you need to win to give yourself a better chance of winning the tournament. Now, once everyone's had a chance to buy a boat and or some gear, you go to species life cycles, and this is going to happen on every board. And by this time, actually before you bought gear, you'd bring back your blocks and all your boats, so these would be empty. And you're going to follow a specific thing. Now, all of these are different depending on the species, just like in real life, and it sort of mimics that. So no, one is mortality. Any of the ones still here will follow this, and it will just basically go back on the stack. This will come out again. Any of the ones here will go here, and if there was a bunch of them, they would fill this up, and then this one is going to end up coming here, and it would go to the it would go to the one with the highest first. And then we look at this. There's 1 spawner, and so we're going to add 2. So 1 would go here, and the second one would go here. Now, if there were 2 or more spawners here, it would get 4. So you'd get 1, 2, 3, 4, and these would start to stack. So let's pretend that happened. There were 2 spawners here and 4 came, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now if someone rolls a 2, both of these are gonna be caught and released and they're gonna be put here. But if nobody gets us this round, these 2 are gonna be moving down here. And so when a player gets one of those, it's gonna get both chips in the stack, which is great for the points. Now the sardines, for example, let's say all these 3 went through mortality. And then we look at this. This one is gonna be all of this. So these are all gonna sort of go on just like this. And now this one is going to have 2. So that's sort of, each board sort of works a little bit differently. And now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spawners. So you're going to get, you're going to roll 2 d6s to figure out, what we do here. So we roll the 6. So that plays 6 of them starting here, working their way back. But if it was 7, it'd go here. If it was 8, you'd start working your way back here again. So all these work a little bit differently. Then, after you've done that for all the boards, you'll do some first player bidding, where players are going to bid a certain amount of points that they're spending. Remember, these points come from the other side of your chips and such. And so you're going to bid, and other players, in turn order, they're going to bid as well, and they're going to try to outbid you. So maybe it looks like this: 3 other players passed. Even if you pass, you can come in and outbid someone. Maybe orange passed first, but now they bid 11. And you keep doing this till everyone successfully passes. And then whoever bid the most will spend that much, 11, to the bank, but they'll be the first player. And anyone that doesn't win the bid, they don't spend anything. You go to the next turn, again, you're gonna do this 6 times, keeping in mind that, the tournament cards change each round and, things like that. Things reset each round as well. And at the end of the game, you're gonna add up all the points you have from your chips. Any baits are worth 1, And each of your tournaments are 10, and if you have the most conservation star tokens, you'll get the 20-point bonus. If you have second most, you'll get the 10-point bonus. Whoever has the most points at the end is the winner. Well, there you have Pisces, a high-stakes fishing competition. Now, as I showed in the overview, you're trying to exceed in catching fish, winning tournaments, and conservation awards. Now, if you'd like to see all the final art and components and all the different pledge levels available, you can click the link below me in the description of this video. Now, that's going to take you directly to the Kickstarter project page, and I'm sure that Extronaut would love your support.